Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 228 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. What's going on, guys?
Tom has a new microphone, so...
Yeah, do I sound better? Do I sound like,
I don't know. You look like you're actually spiking, to be honest, and clipping. You actually look like you're clipping, so let's see.
I don't think I am. I think I'm good.
Why did the meters look like you're clipping, though?
No, I'm good.
Hey, listen, if you are, you're the one that's going to fix it, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I'll just have to not be as loud as I usually am. That's all. Just got to, with the new microphone, you got to adjust all the settings, get it to where, you're in a good place with it, so...
Move it back a little bit, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I tend to be up close to the mic, I feel like. So
yeah, I guess it'll be good when you want to do the ASMR episode.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going on, guys? I know Damon, you just got back. Yeah, you got a
awesome.
detour.
Not only do I have a detour, but I'm gonna have I'm going away again in another week. I'm gonna have another detour. Which
you're not gonna be with us next week, though, right?
Next week, I'm going to be with you guys. It's the week after.
That's me next week. That's not going to be with you guys.
Okay.
Remember?
Wait, a Tom and Damon show?
Yeah.
It's kind of like during COVID. Wow, we haven't done one of those in a while. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll be away, I think, the 9th to the 13th or something like that. So that will be another one. I'll be in Dollywood. The only thing I have to say is I'm a little disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to get to Busch Gardens because I really wanted to go and do that ride, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Just running out of time? Is that?
Just running out of time. Yeah. Just, it's been busy. So I think maybe what I'll have to do is do a Busch Gardens Halloween, which I don't really love, but might have to do it for the rides and the Halloween. I'm not sure. We'll see. And next year's Hershey. I'm doing Hershey next year, Tom.
You're going to do it? You're going to do Hershey? Is this just because I talked about Chocolate World on the show?
No. It was kind of like, because there is no Epic Universe next year, I was kind of like, what are we doing? And, I love Dollywood, but I was like, do I really want to double up on Dollywood? We were there at Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, the year before that, even if we didn't go to the park. So I was like, no, I think it's going to be Hershey next year.
All right. You have to have a East Coast meetup at Hershey Park.
That would be great.
We have a fair amount of listeners in that general area, so
yeah, that would definitely be a fun DVC meetup at Hershey. Yeah, I like that.
You got to get Dan out there. That's what you got to do.
Wait, Dan's in Philadelphia? I mean, no,
he's in Massachusetts, I believe.
Yeah,
that's not that far.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a detour.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one. I want to make sure. Because I've thought about this a few different ways, and the beginning of the story is super fun, but I don't want there to be any kind of knock on where we stayed because it was a fabulous place, but the way it got started was interesting. So we were going to Ocala for a swim meet, which, by the way, the pool that the meet was at, it's called Fast. It was absolutely stunning. A pool, I think, that was built, I want to say it was finished maybe 1920, 2020, 2019. I don't know exactly. Probably one of the best pools that I have ever seen for racing. And it was definitely a fast pool. Unfortunately, as per usual, my son swam extremely well the first 2 days. And then their pod of people got sick, right? He's a tough one to not get sick and not like ridiculously sick where, but just if you have a cold and have congestion, track and swimming are not really it, right?
That's would be tough.
Yeah, you can't really do it. So he ended up scratching the last 2 days, which was unfortunate because he was having a very good meet, but was an interesting place. So we had decided that there wasn't a lot of places to stay in Ocala because this meet was, it's pretty big. There's 5 locations in the country. So this is kind of, I think, what you would kind of consider, I think, the first national meet, right? So at different levels, this is the first level of kind of the national meet. So there's a fair amount of people coming from a whole bunch of different places. So the hotel situation in Ocala, as Tom, well knows, is, not robust. So, they had the whole hotel they were at, which is, a lot. Anyway.
As I mentioned, Ocala's in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. So we decided that we were going to stay somewhere because we were like, we always, it was my wife's 50th this year. And while, she got her nice gifts, we had planned on doing something and just weren't able to really, do anything because the kids are so busy and, work and that. So we said, all right, well, let's try to find somewhere to go. Well, that was a little bit harder than I thought. Like, you can either go an hour west or an hour east, right? Like there's not, as Tom said, a lot in Ocala besides, horses and golf courses and the villages, which is its own interesting thing.
That's to put it lightly. Yeah.
Yep. So we decided that we were going to stay at this place, a 4-star resort called the Mission Inn in Howey in the Hills, which is, about 40. Well, I would say it was actually probably closer to an hour away from Ocala. And it was a very interesting place, in a good way, but it kind of had to like work us up there. So we show up on a Tuesday and, most of the time I think that you're kind of used to things being, pretty busy in terms of vacationing during that time of year. And we show up and there's nobody there. And the place is huge. It's 500 plus acres, right? It's not small. There's 2 golf courses. The way that it's kind of laid out is kind of like you would have a Disney resort. Like there's kind of, there's like, I don't know what you call them, like little sections of the hotel, right? They're connected, but they're their own little section almost, right? Like kind of like you would say at Saratoga or things like that, right? Things like that. So,
like
on a little,
just like little different like areas of the hotel.
Villages.
It's all like broken out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep. And, the place is large. So we get there and it's a tennis golf resort. They have a spa, they have, 4 or 5 restaurants. And we get there and I tell you, it's a ghost town. So literal ghost town. So we check in, we go to our little spot, nobody. And you walk into the place and it feels like Tower of Terror. Like not in this like weird, like, scary way.
New Tower, like Tower of Terror.
No, like Tower of Terror. Like,
oh, okay.
Just old and like an outdated,
old,
like kind of
thing.
Okay.
But here,
like,
old and outdated, but everything was super nice. You get what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so you walk in and you're like, oh, that armoire is probably super expensive, but it's old, right?
Yeah,
like
I get you. Okay.
The ceilings are super small, right? Because it's just that vibe of, when it was built and things like that. So we get there and we're kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I'm taking this elevator, right? Like, I don't know, because we're on the 4th floor. I don't know if I'm taking this elevator. So, I take the elevator up, which is, a joke. And then it's very nice. Like the room is large, right? Like it's a nice room. It's overlooking the golf course. There's nobody playing golf. The next day, there's nobody playing golf. Walk around. There's nobody at the restaurants. There's nobody anywhere. Okay. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we're kind of like, yo, is this real? Like I was sending pictures to, my daughter at home and things like that. And I was like, yeah, if we get like, if something happens, like this is where we're at. Like, and it's also out in the middle of nowhere, like Tom's saying. Yep. It was fun, right? Like it was more of an amusement because the place was really nice and, reception was super duper nice. So we're walking around the place. They have shuffleboard. They have, giant chess set. Again, multiple restaurants. The pool, stunning, right? Absolutely stunning. There's fountains. There's sculptures. There's, the stairs to go up and down because I started taking the stairs, not for just anything, is just easier, right? Started taking the stairs, like they're like full on, like full plastered stairs. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really just nice vintage everything, but there's nobody anywhere
so weird.
Except the grounds crew, right? And then you're thinking to yourself, dude, how are they paying for all this?
How do they stay in business?
How do they stay in business? Now, I will tell you, it was not that expensive either. So, and again, this is something we were doing, kind of to match up our 50th because we weren't able to really get anywhere else. So, we didn't mind where we were staying or spending, but it was also not expensive. Must have been like the second or third day, we just decided that, we're walking to this place called the Conquistadors Trail, which is this sort of nature trail. So I said, all right, well, let's stop at reception first and kind of find out exactly where this is because the place is large. We had driven by the tennis courts and there's a tennis academy there, Not one person playing tennis. There's pickleball courts, brand new. Nobody playing pickleballs. Because we brought our pickleball stuff for something to do because we knew we'd have a lot of time in between. So we said, okay, well, let's bring our pickleball stuff and we'll just, kind of play. I'm sure there'll be people there to play. No, we went out to play. Only ones out there. So okay. But the courts were extremely well kept and extremely nice. So it's kind of like you're wondering what's going on here. Like what's wrong, right? Something has to be wrong here. This doesn't make sense.
It feels like the beginning of like a horror movie where that's
what it felt like. And listen, I want to keep on saying it is not a knock on them because the place is really nice. And we ended up talking to reception and we're kind of like, hey, WTF? Well, we went to actually ask about food because there's some towns down there, and we're kind of like, well, where should we go for food? We went to this place that had burgers, tacos, and waffles, BTW, which was absolutely phenomenal, by the way.
What an amazing concept for a restaurant.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good that we went there, and then the next day we're like, oh, let's go somewhere to eat. And we're like, no, we're going back to BTW because it was that good.
That's a good sign.
Yep.
That's a good place. Yeah.
We go there. And like I said, in between this kind of walk, there's this mosaic of Walt Disney, okay, and Mickey Mouse. And I was kind of like, well, this is weird, right? Like, what is that about? I have no idea what that's about. So, we go to ask about food and we stop at reception. We're talking to lady. Now, the place was just recently sold, I think in December, to more of a hotel management conglomerate, I believe. And again, I'm going on record here to say this is all coming from my brain and I drove back 11 and a half hours. So it is very possible that you might want to check the missioninresort.com resort history website to confirm that I'm not messing some of this up, right? I always like to make sure I'm on point here. So we go to talk to her and, we're asking about food and she tells us some places, but I don't really do seafood. So I'm kind of like, whatever. And then I ask, cause I'm kind of a chatty person. So I was kind of like, is this kind of how it is normally? And she goes, this is actually the least busy time of the year. And she goes on to explain that they do a lot of weddings. They can actually host 7 weddings at once, right?
Oh, wow.
The golf courses, one of them was voted top 25 in Florida, which, in Florida with 1 million golf courses, like that's awesome, right? There's also a small little neighborhood that's part of this as well that has the amenities to the golf courses. So there's a small little neighborhood that's attached to these, 500 acres. Anyway, so she just explained that this is the absolute most dead time of the year. And, I was like, okay, well, that makes more sense then. So, we were kind of talking, talking to her kind of a little bit about the podcast because we were just kind of talking about Disney and stuff. And she's asked if I saw the mosaic and I said, yes. And she goes, well, so let me explain to you how the story goes. I guess kind of take a step back. This resort had been around for a long time. So Howie in the Hills is the name of the town. This guy, Howie, bought it I want to say let's say right before the Depression, right? I don't have to go into exact dates. Right before the Depression, I think throws a golf course on, the Depression happens, no one's going anywhere, especially Florida. And then ends up going to sell it after the Depression. It's, stays in the family for a few generations, goes to sell it in the 60s. Right at the time that Disney's looking to purchase land. Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened was, and again, this is hearsay, but this is what the story that they tell is that Walt Disney, because again, right, they have 500 plus acres and more to be bought. I think when they first started outside of the resort, there was 60,000 acres, some ridiculous amount of land, right?
Yeah.
Disney decided that it was easier to fill in the swamp than it was to cut down the hills because it is a little hilly there. And right, if you want a flat amusement park. So what they did was this mosaic was a thank you to Walt Disney for not buying their land.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right. I was like, wow, even when there's not a Disney story, there's a Disney story.
There's a Disney story. Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
So I thought that was actually a pretty cool little story. And then we decided to, find out where the Conquistadors Trail is. And then as we're leaving, she says, oh, and by the way, just in case, if you see Bubba, the huge alligator, just say
that's
hi.
An alligator's name, right?
And I was like, oh, dude, no, I don't need to hear that. So we go to the Conquistadors Trail. And again, the golf course is meticulously kept. Like I said, I haven't seen a golf course that nice in a long while, by the way, with nobody playing on it, except, as we get closer to Friday, things change a little bit. But anyway, so we go to Conquistadors Trail. Again, nobody is anywhere. We walk this trail and it's not that it's it's not dilapidated, it's just overrun. So like there is this, like we see like all these butterflies, and like there's this sign like hidden behind all like the woods and the brushes and the bush, says, butterfly, what do they call it? Butterfly garden. But it's like, looks like it was, dystopian, 200 years ago, hidden behind like all this like, overgrown shrubbery. And I'm just like, this does not look good. But there's a ton of butterflies there, right? Which was really kind of cool. And because it's just, out in the woods, it's just out in the woods. Like you're walking along this path and there's like a tree must have fallen over and it falls over the top of the path. And you're like, I guess we gotta like go under it. Like it was really a nice little trail. Very, woodsy, very much natural, let's say. But anyway, so we did that. And then, so we played pickleball, we went over and looked at, some of the tennis stuff and drove around. And then, come Thursday, Friday, we see a few people, right? And not a lot by any stretch of the imagination, but a few people. It was such a nice place though, but it had this, like, again, that Tower Terror vibe was so real in those first 2 days, like just so real. Like when we're in the hotel room and there's like, we're on the 4th floor, we didn't see anybody for 2 days, nobody, not a person. And we also got there at like 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So like we check in, it's 10 o'clock at night, may even been, 10:30. There's nobody there. It's dark. You walk in and there's like, all of the stuff that you would expect to have been used is like, like the carts for bringing luggage are all just sitting there, kind of like a ride. There's a wheelchair. And then the next day the wheelchair's gone. And we're like, whoa, we didn't see anybody. Like what happened to the wheelchair? Like it was like that. But again, everything was so nice because when you ride Tower of Terror, everything is, befitting of a super nice hotel.
Just cobwebby, right?
There was no cobwebs there. But outside of the cobwebs, it was that had that feel. So it was definitely fun. There was a German bakery that was less than a mile away. Now, my wife will argue with me. I will say it's better than the European bakery in Hilton Head. I don't think and I'm an eclair person, and I don't think I've had a better one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the next day I had a hazelnut tart, which was absolutely, European German bakeries, things are in a sweet, so it was perfect. Like you could still have it for breakfast. My wife had an pistachio something the first day, and it was good. And then she had apple strudel because she said, German bakeries kind of how to have it. But we get to the bakery and you go and you order, and there was like, us, another, couple and another couple, and that was it. And you go outside and there's, like the metal table and chairs. There's like 40 of them. And you're like, I just don't understand. There's a bar outside at this bakery. And that was the other thing. So by the pool, there was a huge bar as well. I mean, nothing in it, like ghost town bar. Kind of same thing here. There was obviously a bar. So they must really do all of their business in that wedding season. And that's it, right?
It's interesting, Damon, that you bring that up, because I remember I went to West Palm Beach one time for a work conference, right? And it was in July, and I was like, oh, well, I'm surprised we're doing this in July, because, I'm thinking we're at the beach. Like, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be peak season, right? And I was talking to an Uber driver down there. He's like, oh, no. He goes, this is the down season. This is like the low season. He goes, it's too hot. People don't come.
Yeah, it was it was hot there. Like, I couldn't imagine playing golf in that heat, and I think that's probably a lot of what happens. Yeah, but super nice place, Mission Inn Resort, right? Howie in the Hills. If you're in that area looking for somewhere to stay, great. We played mini golf. Again, somewhere in between, right? Because between Ocala and this was about an hour. We played mini golf, which I won by 13 strokes, a lot, let's say. I was kind of on my game, to be honest with you. But it was interesting because it was like, it felt like it was in somebody's backyard, but it was really nice. I just don't know how to put it. A lot of things like that kind of feel that way down there, like, because there's not a lot around. People run a business. It's kind of like, and then their home's attached to kind of their business. But I mean, it was immaculate. Like, you go to a lot of other mini golf and, there's, turf coming up or this or that. No, this was really, really nicely done. And it was not easy. So I will tell you, because again, if I didn't, my wife would be mad. So I'll just say that even though I won by an awful lot, I still did not par because it was a very difficult course. Very difficult course. But it was fun. It definitely was a good trip. I was kind of like, I was saying to my wife, you go to these places And then you think to yourself, like, wow, this was really fun. Like, I had a really good time. And it was also our first, I can't say it was really our first vacation without the kids, because we were there for my son's swim meet and we did see him every day, right? Like, it's not like we didn't see him. So I don't know how, but it was fun because it was just different, right? It was such a different experience. And then I was like, but I will never be back here again. Like, there's not going to be anything that brings me back here. And I was a little disappointed in that, because I was going to a bakery that I loved. And I thought to myself, well, it's a one and done, because I just won't be back. Why would I
go back for just for the bakery? I mean,
yeah, I'm not driving 10 and a half hours for a bakery. So, and even though it was nice, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Anyway, but it was fun. We had a good time. If you're in the area for some other reason, I would say definitely check it out. Mission Inn Resort was pretty cool.
Usually, if you're in Ocala, it's for a horse-related reason. So,
well, now or swimming. But my son's a junior; he'll be a senior next year. So unless they hold at the same location next year, which they usually don't, but you never know, that would
might get lucky.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it goes. If I remember correctly, it goes between North Carolina, Florida, I want to say Mississippi, and somewhere else. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have a report from Mississippi. I mean, he's already made his cut for next year, so it's just going to be a matter of where it was. And 2 years ago, it was in North Carolina, but it could also be at GAC at Greensboro. So whenever.
Well, that would be good.
It's a nice pool as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
all right. Well, we haven't had a detour in a while, so that was.
And you get another one soon, and the other one is going to be really interesting because it's going to be Dollywood. My daughter's going to be going on the mine shaft ride, which I actually forget the true name of it for the first time, probably against her will. And then we're going to be doing Big Bear, which is the new ride, the one. Which I'm kind of excited about. I was kind of telling the guys before I was listening to a lot of Epic Universe stuff on the ride down, just because, right, something to listen to. That coaster may be even too much for me. I don't know if you guys have seen any of
that dueling one that they're building.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That might be a little too much for me.
Yeah, from the pictures I saw, it looks like a lot.
I know it's too much for Tom. I guarantee.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not doing that. No,
and no. I'll be honest. I have not looked too much at Epic Universe stuff because I'm kind of. The hard part for me is that I know I want to go there because of Super Nintendo World and everything, but I also know it's so far out that I don't want to be hyping myself up for no reason for the next year and a half.
I just think it's going to be such a big opening that I'm worried about getting in the summer of. But what I did hear was, and I think this is going to be an interesting.
This looks good. Sorry.
Yeah, right. It's going to be an interesting take on how they actually handle this. But I'm hearing, right, again, rumor wise, that none of the new rides are going to be part of their Express Pass at all. It's going to be just standby unless they have their own virtually thing, but only when
virtual queue route.
Yeah, but only when it fills up. So and again, I could be wrong here. If I am, someone will correct me, I'm sure. But I don't believe they just turn it on from jump. I think they turn it on when the line gets too long.
Which for the first little while, it probably will be just turned on because it'll be so popular. But yeah, I get what you're saying is that they'll hit a point where they'll just go to queue.
But it does change my thought process here because I was going to stay at the Royal Pacific because of the free Express Pass, right? But if none of the rides are Express Pass at all, then I don't need to stay there.
Yeah, that's kind of pointless, right? Yeah.
Might save me some money because we were pricing it out and it's like, man, I love DVC.
Yeah.
Because gosh, it's brutal to price out a trip to Universal or even Disney without DVC. And I think what we would do, we were kind of talking about it, is we would utilize the first and last day as DVC days so that we could go to the park at Universal and then go back to Disney, stay, right, I'm air quoting, free in our room and then drive back the next day. And same thing we would do on the first day. We'd arrive late. So instead of spending all that money on the park, on Universal to go to the park, we would spend the first night at Disney and then go to the park and then check into the hotel later that day. I just didn't know. The one thing I don't know, and I don't know how Disney kind of does it either. So let's just say you have a reservation and let's say again, let's call it Tuesday that you would check in. You can go to the park in the morning though on those free park hours or no? Can you only do it on the last day?
No, you can. Yeah.
So if you're not checking in yet, you can still do that.
I think if it's the day of your check-in, I think it's fine.
And then the day you leave. So if you were to check out at 10 in the morning, you still have it for that day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
just
think
don't
it's
know.
the length of your stay, right? So like the length of your stay would count as the first day, even if you're not checked in yet. It's that first day is still your first day in the
So-
resort,
Arrival
right?
and departure days. Yeah.
Yeah. So for something like Universal, where you in theory have to pay for it, but you get it for free if you're at the high end hotel, I wonder if they handle it the same way.
I don't know,
It-
maybe.
It almost thinks they might not because it would be like a kind of a money thing. But I don't know. We'll have to find that out.
Yeah, it's
I guess-
interesting. Go ahead, sorry, Trevor.
I was going to say, I don't know how many people are capitalizing on those days that you're talking about, Damon.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing, is that it's,
I don't know either.
you know, a lot of people are
I
not
would.
planning. Well, yeah, I know you would, but like for me, it's like, well, you know, travel day is like, you know, getting on a plane for 5 hours. So
But you
I'm
could,
not really.
in theory, do the same thing, right? You could come into Florida, stay at DVC
Yeah.
at night, because if you're flying in, like, are you too tired to go to Universal? You might be. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've done that before, and we realized that, you know, the first day coming in, it's easier to just go to the hotel and rest. We're not interested in crashing parks after being on a plane for 5 hours. So from our point of view, that actually would be a plan, is, you know, stay at a DVC resort and then move over to, you know, wherever we're staying if we were going to go stay at a Universal resort.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Makes sense.
All right. So we get
Do
listener
we actually
questions
go
now?
to the show now?
Yeah. Hey, the detour is part of the show, man.
You're right. The detour one. You're right. I'm sorry.
All right. So Nathan Thomas has a question that I just want to put out there that he asked in at least 10 different Facebook groups.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. I'm at the
He's
cusp.
trying to get opinions, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm at the cusp of, I mean, does any opinion besides the people in our group really matter, though? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm at the cusp of adding 150 or 200 points at VGF at 161. Yep. Per point direct, which is super cheap.
Yeah.
Currently has 150 at Riviera.
Yeah.
Family of 4, 2 adults and 2 kids under 6. Push me over the ledge, pull me back, or let me know if there's a better option. I think that's pretty cheap, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how much you like. He doesn't say how much he travels, and
Yep.
you know, and where he wants to stay, and what room size he wants. Because, like, I mean, listen,
Family
I don't know.
of 4. Yeah. I mean, do you need 300 points a year?
Probably not, unless you want to stay in 2 bedrooms every time, which I like. I've been a little spoiled by the 2 bedrooms right now, right?
me
It's
both.
like nice to have your own space, but like with a family of 4, you could get away with a studio, really, with a family of 4, or I mean, a 1 bedroom at the most. But like,
Yeah, studio is pushing it though when the kids get older.
oh no, when they get older,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree, yeah.
And we
So,
also don't know
yeah.
if the kids are if it's 2 boys, 2 girls, 1 of each.
Yeah.
Right? Because I will tell you, having that 2 boys, 1 girl means more room than 3 boys.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
It just does. Like, nobody, like the boys, if they have to, like if we force them to, you're both taking the couch, like the pull out. Just it is what it is.
Yeah.
But they just wouldn't do that otherwise. So it makes things a little bit harder. So yeah, I like the full fridge. I'm going to be honest with you. The full fridge is like a deal changer for me. I need to make sure I have a full fridge. I really do.
You get that with the 1 bedroom though. You get the full.
Yeah. I'm not saying, but you don't get it with the studio.
No, but
Yeah.
you don't get it with the studio. Yeah, but
I
like,
need
I
the
would
1 bedroom.
minimum go 1 bedroom if I were a family of 4 at this point. You know.
And maybe they go twice a year and they need 300 points.
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. I mean, I would say, listen, if you have the money to buy it and you want to buy, I mean, that's a pretty good.
You're not going to go wrong at 161.
Yeah. That price point, because we talked about it previously, is that that is directly competing with resale rates, and the fact that it is a direct, it, comes with all the advantages of direct. Meaning that you can, buying that means that you can use it at any of the current resorts and future resorts. Which
absolutely,
I mean, like looking at that versus buying resale actually is becoming, it's not limited, but as time goes on and new resorts pop up, it is going to be more and more limited. So, to me, getting a direct contract, again, if you can afford it and you can get direct at the cost of a resale, in 5 years, that's going to pay for itself. Like it's,
we just don't know how long these are going to last for and why Disney's doing them so cheap.
trying to pull some of those people away, from resale, right? But I did read. I mean, I saw in DVC News they keep track of like direct sales, and they were talking about how sales have been really strong for the new resorts recently. Like they've really been picking up quite a bit. So I'm assuming the incentives are not going to last forever.
No, I wouldn't think so, especially not that cheap.
Yeah, exactly. So another interesting thing here is DVC is currently offering on select dates in August and September, you can save 20% off a regular price of a VIP guided tour.
I tried to talk my parents into it. They're going at the end of August.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, dude, you should do the VIP tour. They were talking about doing a tour. They're going to do keys to the kingdom.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great tour for them. Yeah. They'll love that. Yeah.
And I was like, no, you should do a VIP tour. They're 20% off. And they're like, no.
I mean, okay. But so let's look at this line item here. There maximum of 10 guests per group.
You can do math.
Standard rates range from $450 to $900 per hour with a minimum of 7 hours. So
you're $6,000. No problem. It's not
for
bad,
20% off for
a 1 day tour. Yeah. And then, 20% off. Ooh, that still doesn't feel good.
You know what, though? If you had a group of 10, it's not terrible, right? Like, if you had a group of 10 and split it, it's not that bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens if, like, you're a group of 2? Like, do you jump in with other people, or do you by yourself?
No, you still get your own. It's still personal, yeah.
So that's where you're at that 450 per 2 people versus 450 per 10.
I don't know where the range comes from. I'm wondering if it's by date that the range, like if
let's just use that as the number. So you're saying if you had a group of 10 friends, it would only be $45 per person per hour?
Yeah. Not terrible.
I mean, if you got them all in on the same group, and I think it would be, you pay for it and then you get everyone else to, pay you back.
Yeah.
Whatever the difference is. But yeah, the problem with that is, like what you're saying.
I don't like 10 people.
You have to find, if you're a group of 2, you have to find 8 other.
No, I don't even like 8 people. I don't think.
Yeah,
there's not 8 people you like enough to do this with.
There's not 8 people I could convince to do this.
Well, the other problem is too. You have to remember, like, it's not 2. Like, I'm already at 5, and I'm paying for all 5.
Yeah. So you're paying for an additional 3 for if it was your family. Yeah. So
plus, it doesn't include theme park tickets too, right? So.
But hey, if you're going to do it, 20% off is still 20% off.
That's one of the better discounts I've seen. I mean, I feel like typically the bigger the discount you see, like the more expensive the experience is, right? Because like you have to really make it worth somebody's while to do it. I mean, 20% off is really good though. It's interesting. I feel like I don't remember them ever doing this before that I can remember, but I mean, I've always wanted to do one of these, right? Like I've really wanted to do it. And my one friend who has some spare money and tends to spend it, has mentioned it to me before, like, if we went together, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. Like, if you want to pay for it, I'm in.
if you get 8 people, when the kids are in college, I'll come, Tom. 2 of us will come. There you go.
Happen. We should do a welcome home VIP.
Yeah, I mean, I would figure out how to get down there if this was actually happening.
I mean, it's awesome. You skip every single line. I mean, you can't.
So 7 hours, if I got to pay, so I'm $90 at 7 hours. That's actually not the worst, right?
Well, it's 45. It would be 45 per hour, right? So you're talking per hour for 7 hours.
Yeah. So 90 times 7. Or,
90 times 7 max. It would be the maximum. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the worst if if you can split it that way.
Basically the ultimate Genie Plus. We just skip every single line and don't have to reserve anything. So it's an interesting promo that they're doing. So I mean it is.
We'd all have to wear Welcome Home podcast shirts, though. That would be a requirement.
Oh, easy.
Everyone has to wear the shirts. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You're not allowed to come on tour if not.
I mean, but the plaid can't wear the shirt though. Like
no.
Okay.
We can give them a button.
We should have the plaid wear one of our hats while they're
hat switch, by the way, we are looking to get, but they will be the same sort of thing, giveaway only, just so everyone knows.
Yeah,
we are looking to get some
new hats.
Yeah, new hats. We've been meaning to do hats for a long time again. So we still have pins too that I need to send out to Patreon people.
Tom and his pins. People complain about it way more than you think. By the way, just so you're aware. Every time I meet somebody, They're always like, Tom never sends out pins. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Listen, I know.
Well, you know what, though? That's okay. Behind the curtain, we talked about this. I think we're going to switch up. And I think once we do new stuff, my parents will send out stuff since they, for some reason, they're always at the post office. I don't know why, but they seem to always be at the post office.
I feel like every time I've been to the post office, there tends to be an older demographic that has.
There you go. Because they got that time. Well, they can also go to the post office whenever they want.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, right? Yeah. So,
this next thing though is really interesting. The Smellephants on Parade experience, because I don't know, there's such an uproar on social media about it, and I just don't know why. So,
okay, yeah, can you explain to me what the uproar is? Because I'm not.
I can because I don't necessarily agree with it. So agree with it. There's this new interactive experience coming to Magic Kingdom. Smellephants on Parade, which will be a family-friendly search and sniff adventure and storybook circus. And that's all great. Presented by Scentsy. And I think that's where it all falls apart for people. So here's the thing, though. It's sponsored by Scentsy, right? Who are the official home fragrance for Walt Disney World.
Yeah, we already knew this.
Yep, we already knew this. The experience takes inspiration from Pink Outfits on Parade, from Dumbo, and concept art, and blah, 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 blah. I think it's great because that area always needs something.
I agree. Yeah.
Here's the problem. People are mad because they say, I don't want anything sponsored by Scentsy. I don't want anything sponsored by anybody. This is ridiculous. It's turning into a commercial.
I'm sorry.
Have you been on Test Track? Like, because that is the ultimate commercial. There is no commercial bigger than Test Track.
But things have been sponsored since Disneyland opened.
Yeah,
like it's literally the history of the parks. Like,
yeah, like day one. Like you can go back to like 1960 footage, and there is like in Tomorrowland, like there's sponsorship all over the place. So why
there's
is
less
a problem
sponsors
now?
today than there were then?
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
I look at that
good,
Kodak sponsor in Epcot as well. I had that on. Yeah. I found that stuff in my attic, and it was literally like the worst sort of like push of Kodak cameras I've ever seen for Disney. And again, Test Track, which is nothing more than a Chevy commercial at the end. So I don't know why there's an uproar, but there is an uproar about this.
Is it just Scentsy though? Because like
it might be.
Nobody seems to care that like what is it, Tron sponsored by like Enterprise and like like.
So I haven't been on Tron. So what does that mean though?
Nothing. It just means that they have like a little thing there. That's it.
Yeah, like
Enterprise.
I would say at the end of the day that Test Track is not a little thing. It's
it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
That's a big one, yeah.
Right? And so I don't understand. I think it may be just some Scentsy backlash. I don't know. I'm not sure. But
it has to be Scentsy specifically, right?
I don't know. There was a lot more talk about it than I thought.
A company producing, like scents for like, air deodorizers and stuff, like of all the hills to die on.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it.
What if all right, hold on. What if
is it because they're like a multi-level marketing company? Is that what the problem is? Like
might be. What if Figment was sponsored by Lululemon?
That's totally different though.
Okay. I mean
what if his scarf was Lululemon and all of a sudden that ride was sponsored by Lululemon and the scarf was Figment the ride.
I wouldn't care unless the whole Figment ride was changed into him talking about how comfortable his scarf is. Yeah. Because
I don't care about this at all. I was just surprised that people cared. And I tell you, I tried to say something and people just like totally went off.
This is just like not knowing the history of Disney parks though. Like literally every single attraction like at Disneyland when it opened was sponsored pretty much. Like they had like Monsanto in there. They had General. Yeah. Like everything was sponsored. Like I would say there's less sponsors now. And I would also say too that they do a pretty decent job of making them relevant sponsors, right? Like I know Splash Mountain, it's weird that like Ziploc would sponsor Splash Mountain, but it makes sense. You put your stuff in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't get wet, right? Like you can do that. Like, I mean, Enterprise with Tron, it's a vehicle, I guess, or whatever. But it's, you can come up with ways that it makes sense. For the most part, they're not like out of left field, right? Like, I don't know. This makes sense to me, I guess, because they're doing a smelling thing. But I mean, not necessarily, I guess, for Dumbo, right? It is kind of weird that it's Dumbo. But since they're building this whole new experience around this search and sniff thing. With Dumbo.
And I don't know what this is going to be. Like, was it just going to be a walkthrough with like spraying smells at you? Like,
kind of what it seems like. Yeah.
I mean, if there was holograms, it would be fine. But
it's all about holograms. Yeah. Sorry, Trevor. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you know, even to the point about like looking back at some of the older sponsors, like there's been stuff over the years where the sponsors don't even necessarily make sense. Like, you know, Disney tries to make it make sense, but there's been plenty of attractions over the years where it's like, you know, they just put the sponsor's name next to the ride and that's it. You know, it's varying degrees of, you know, sometimes it'll be like the Chevy thing, or in other cases, I'm like, who was it? Was it Siemens that was doing Spaceship Earth?
Yeah. So it was Siemens with Spaceship Earth. Like,
So you don't like in a lot of cases, you don't even hear about it. Like in this case, it's, you know, Sensi is, you know, they're clearly pushing their Sensi as a brand, right? Which is fine. But the funny thing is that, you know, for years, and this is the part that baffles me, and I guess maybe because it's not the same people making the same statement, is that you get, you know, people for years I've seen, they're like, oh man, you know, what is that smell, you know, in like the lobby at this hotel, right? And, you know, people are, you know, oh, here's, you know, you can go here, you can buy this scent or whatever. So, you know, it's just getting self-promoted. But now that it's like, you know, the company is like, hey, you know, we're going to do a thing. And, you know, it's interesting. It's not that it's just, you know, sheer self-promotion. It's like, you know, they're kind of working it in, like you said, you know, whether or not it works in with Dumbo. I mean, this to me seems more like a Winnie the Pooh thing, almost like the
interesting,
the elephants or pink elephants on parade. Yeah. Like that to me, you know, it kind of makes sense. Like it's not a stretch. So I don't understand why people are getting bent out of shape about it, because it's not like they're like throwing it in the middle of like the Jungle Cruise and it's blasting you with scents. Like they're, you know, it's contained to an area. They're advertising it as, you know, hey, this is a thing put on by a sponsor and, you know, come check it out. At the end of the day, you don't have to go there either. Like to be so wound up about it. It's like, and I get, you know, people on social media are crazy sometimes. It's, you know, maybe just don't do it if it bothers you that much and just leave other people to experience it. I don't know.
I just want to note that I Googled this, and when Disneyland opened, there were 33 sponsors at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
33. So like, let's, and I don't think there's that many at Disney World at this point. I was laughing though, Damon, when you brought up Kodak. I was remembering where they just had random signs that said like photo spot sponsored by Kodak. Yeah. Like, okay. Like, do I really need a sign to tell me where to take a photo? I always thought these were ridiculous.
That was probably an agreement that they had that, you know, they would just put their name all over the park, right?
Exactly.
It's the same way that, you know, like Club Cool it's a ad for Coca-Cola.
It's a big ad for Coke. Yeah.
Yeah. But
they're giving me something for free, so.
That's why they're giving you smells for free in this one.
Thanks.
They're giving you free smells. Yeah, he's right.
which is better than smelling, you know, somebody who didn't put on deodorant on the monorail, unless that is one of the smells.
Can they put this experience in the monorail cars so I don't have to smell sweaty people?
Yeah,
like, that would be amazing.
Hey man, it's hot out there in Florida.
It is.
You just get sweaty. Sometimes deodorant cannot handle.
Listen, I'm not criticizing anybody. At the end of a day in the summertime from Disney, I'm sure I do not smell great, right? Like when you get in that monorail, it can smell like a barnyard sometimes. So I would just love a little Scentsy spritzer, you know?
Now, what if you know, Gillette or somebody sponsored the bathrooms and you could like get like spray deodorant in the bathrooms?
Yeah, do that. Yeah. Have like a little machine. I just put my arm up and it like sprays my arm. Oh man, I think it's more just like that Scentsy. I am vaguely familiar with Scentsy, but like I googled it, and I guess they are considered a multi-level marketing scheme. And I know like there's a lot of backlash to those kinds of places, and so maybe that's what it is because it is Scentsy. Like maybe if it was some other fragrance manufacturer, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe people wouldn't be as annoyed, but I don't know. It just feels. But think about
it like this. I mean, they are the official fragrance of Walt Disney, so
they are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. You know, I guess, you know, any other like drama around the company is one thing, but again, to bring it to Disney, which again, it's a well-established Disney thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't see why you get upset about it at that point, because it's not like it's anything new.
Strange.
I don't know, man. So I'm surprised Tom had this in here. The Wonderful World of Mickey Shorts ends with Steamboat Silly.
Why are you surprised that it's in there?
I'm just surprised.
Because you don't like the show?
The last episode, so I got to watch it early, so I've seen it a few weeks ago.
I liked it.
It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love that animation style, right? So obviously based on the name, right? It's a 9-minute short, Disney Plus, you got modern Mickey, meeting up with Steamboat Willie, blah, 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 blah. There are a lot of Easter eggs in it, for sure.
A lot of Easter eggs, yeah.
A lot of Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't love Mickey shorts in general, so for me, it's just okay. But it was fine. It was fine. I mean, there was a lot of Steamboat Willies, right? Like,
I thought it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. My daughter and I very much enjoyed it yesterday.
Yeah,
so
there was a lot of them. So
I'm just disappointed that the series is ending. I did enjoy it. I felt like it was very like, even though the animation style was new, like the stories and the way they were doing things were like really silly and like kind of old style kind of animation, like to me. But like that's why I like them. But I understand not everybody liked the animation style. I always enjoyed these. My daughter really likes them, and we watch them quite a lot. So I mean, listen, everything has to come to an end eventually, and it's kind of a bummer because I do think that this is kind of like a cool way to introduce like Mickey Mouse and those characters to a new generation, but because my daughter will watch the old ones too. She'll watch the shorts from the 30s, or the 40s. Like she'll watch those, but like it's cool to kind of bring it into a more modern world and show it that way. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of bummed that this is ending, but I know not everybody is. But at the same time, like this series won a ton of awards. I mean, I think was pretty popular, despite I know a lot of Disney fans not loving the exact animation style. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. Like you, Tom, I enjoyed them. We like when our son was younger, we watched them a lot. Now, not so much because, teenagers being teenagers, you can't get them to do anything. But yeah, I guess the way I look at it is the nice thing right now. And, to your point about, kids rediscovering stuff. Like when I was a kid, I found a lot of the old Mickey Mouse shows because you could rent there was like compilations of them at the video store, Blockbuster. Right. So, we would go and rent VHS of like Mickey Mouse stuff. And I remember this when I was a kid and it was like, we were watching, at the time I didn't realize it. It was like, these were, shows from, the 1940s up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, to the point about, kids discovering the stuff, the fact that we have Disney Plus now and the fact that all of this stuff is on Disney Plus means that, like you say, your daughter can go back and, you can find, the entire series of Mickey shorts and, for kids now, it's a lot easier for them to access the old and the new stuff. And to the point about this ending, I think it's good that they're ending it. It's like, like you, Tom, if they kept making it, I wouldn't have complained. I would have, because I don't sit down and watch them religiously anymore. Like I said, when my son was younger, we would sit down and watch them a lot. But now it's like, every once in a while I'll just go and check it out. And it's like, oh yeah, they've got some new ones. And I haven't watched this final one yet, but the thing is that I think it's good because now that this has ended, there is opportunity for them to do something new and different again. And I think that's where Disney is its strongest, because like not everything hits. The whole thing around this current one was that, like you said, people don't like the animation style. They didn't like how like Goofy was done. And I get that.
Yeah, sure.
But so now that they've they've bookended that series, there's nothing saying they can't start a new one. And again, it's not that they'll just like repeat the same thing, but it gives opportunity for more creativity in it, and, somebody new to come in and to, again, start up the next generation of this stuff, because, that's really why Disney stuff has stuck around so long. Like I remember, again, this goes back to when I was a kid, is that, there was a short and I'm sure you can find it on Disney Plus. And it was like, it had like the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, and it had the current generation at the time. I think it would have been like a 80s Mickey Mouse. And the whole thing was just, Steamboat Willie was like just doing like the like simple dance animation. And then the new Mickey Mouse comes in and he's doing like all this different stuff and everything. And the whole time the other Mickey is just dancing, like he's not doing anything. And the new Mickey is kind of looking at him going like, what are you doing? Like, so it was like this whole back and forth between the old and the new one. And the funny thing is that they can keep doing that. Like that's kind of what this is doing. Yeah, right. It's like, showing off the old one, showing the, the classic animation and intertwining it. And it's funny because it actually kind of makes for like a whole, kind of the same way that you have like the Marvel universe, is that you have the Mickey universe.
The Mickey universe.
Right?
Also, also the MCU.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the MMCU. Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing is that it, or actually it's kind of equivalent to like how you've got different variations on Spider-Man, right? Like you've got different variations on Mickey Mouse. So the fact that they finished off this one show means that you're going to get another variation, and whatever that looks like. So like I said, I'm not sad to see it go, because the only thing it says to me is that there'll be something new.
Yeah.
Right. Which is always good.
I just loved, so just for those that haven't watched these, right? So they had the original series that was from 2013 to 2019. That was just it was just the Mickey Mouse series, right? But then they changed it in 2020 to the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse. And they did a bunch of other things too. Like they did a spring one, they did a summer one. Like they were really very fun and silly. Like my very favorite one, my daughter and I watched it yesterday. And I don't know if you've seen this one, Trevor, but this one like literally kills me. And it's the reason why I loved it, because it was just really silly and just like really silly cartoon, kind of stuff that was, you don't see as much anymore, And so like it's the one where Mickey's trying to get Pluto to take his anti-flea medication. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I don't remember it in detail though.
I love that one so much. It makes me laugh so hard because just like there's a stupid bit in the beginning where Mickey notices that there's a flea gnawing on his leg, and he just shoots his leg off like a rocket ship, and a new one just grows in. Like, and it's just so stupid and silly, but it's like a funny old cartoon
visual slapstick.
Yeah, stuff. And then there's another part where he's trying to give the bone to Pluto, and Pluto's teeth turn into a brick wall, and then like a vault. It's like that kind of like really ridiculous, over the top kind of cartoony stuff from really like the very like physical comedy, and it's just that episode to me just like kind of is exactly why I loved the show, because it was so silly, and it really didn't take itself seriously, and it took Mickey in some different directions, and it did some different things with all the characters that was really fun. And I mean, there was some really funny adult jokes in that show too, right? There was a lot of funny adult stuff in that. Sorry, go ahead.
That's the whole thing about Mickey in general, and you can even go back to through all of the cartoons, is that to your point is like the Mickey shorts, there is a lot of there's a lot of kid jokes, there's a lot of slapstick, there's a lot of visual stuff, but then like you said, that they will occasionally do jokes like there was a couple episodes where some of the jokes definitely you can tell that it was targeted at the adults in the room, not the kids. And then they also love doing, or like you mentioned earlier, the Easter eggs. Like I love the fact that like through this whole series, there was multiple points where they did throwbacks. They did call outs to like, theme park rides.
Tons of park stuff in that show. Yeah, tons of park stuff.
And then there was one episode where Mickey reaches under his under the seat in his car, and there's a VHS of the Black Cauldron.
Oh yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah,
which is just it's so specific, and it's such a like call out to all the people that are like, hey, what happened to the Black Cauldron? Because that was a Disney show that a lot of people don't know, and it was kind of dark,
yeah.
and so stuff like that is,
or the House of Tomorrow episode where they literally took an attraction from Disneyland from that, and they made it into an episode. Like, I mean, they did a ton of parks references on that show, and that's part of why I loved it too.
Yeah. So the thing is as much as I'll miss that, I'm excited to see where they'll take it. And the funny thing is that that doesn't mean that I'm going to inherently like everything about whatever the next thing is they do, because it's funny because the whole thing about the way they animated Goofy and everything in this last series. It was very polarizing, and I didn't hate it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite thing. Like, I enjoyed the way that they did the character and everything, but that's not to say that the next thing they do, there may be something about it that, I may be in that camp where I'm like, I don't like the way they did Donald or something like that. Yeah. Right. Like, but I think it's good that they have that, because, everybody can find the version of Mickey, I guess, that they like the most at the end of the day. Right. Like, because there is like, it even goes back to like, if you really wanted to, talk about it, like, as far as like Mickey Mouse shows go, I wish that House of Mouse was on Disney Plus, because like that was my favorite in terms of just straight Mickey shows, but they don't have it there for some reason. So
yeah, there are some weird omissions on there.
But yeah, anyway, we kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole about just Mickey stuff, all because you just the fact that the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse is ending.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
we should do our ad. We should really do.
We should. Yeah, we really should. All right. This week we have DVC Rental Store, which is a World of DVC company that offers magical vacations at incredible value. Save up to 60% off retail rates at premium Disney resorts. DVC Rental Store now includes deposits as low as 25% at the time of booking and a built-in cancellation policy for every reservation. As always, DVC Rental Store pays out the most to members looking to rent their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 382-7368. And when you do talk to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, be sure to make sure you go to dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home. Big important thing to do.
That lets them know that you found them through us, and that because they are a sponsor of the show, we want to show them love. So make sure you do that,
and we want credit for that love. Yeah. Anyway, so Hatbox Ghost, they're gonna be closed. What's that?
Finally, jeez.
Are you okay? So
I've seen the Hatbox Ghost.
So. Yeah, you've seen it. What I was going to ask you? So they're gonna close the Haunted Mansion for a couple days, but it's not the Hatbox Ghost isn't coming. They're just preparing for the Hatbox Ghost, right? But he's going to debut later this summer. I mean, I guess later this year. But so I've noticed that there's a mini controversy about this one, because everyone assumed the Hatbox Ghost was going to be in the attic scene. But they're saying
he was at the end of the attic scene in Disneyland. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what everyone was assuming. But they announced here that it's actually going to be next to the endless hallway towards the beginning of the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some people are mad about that. They think it ruins the story. And I'm like, I don't know. It makes sense to me, I guess.
So based on the trailer that I saw for the movie, they're lining this up. So they're lining it up with the movie.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
So
you didn't go see the movie yet, Trevor? I thought you were going to hit the theaters for that one.
Yeah. We were going to go, but stuff happened this weekend. So
okay. Sorry.
Yeah. We actually, since I'm not going to be here next weekend, and because we actually have a trip planned, but I think I actually have a couple of days off before that. So I think we're probably going to go see it this next weekend.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I will say this, there is a part of me that like opening day of any show, I'm very adverse to doing opening day because I just don't like excessive crowds.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But so back to, the trailer on this and everything, from the movie is that it seems like the Hatbox Ghost is kind of, responsible for the endless hallway. Like in the trailer, he's chasing somebody and, he kind of distorts the mansion into, like the endless hallway and all that kind of stuff. So I think it makes a little more sense. And because the hard part is like in Disneyland, he's already like, they just kind of put him in a spot is what happened. Right.
Yeah.
Like they didn't, there wasn't plans for the movie at the time. They were just kind of bringing back the Hatbox Ghost. So, they found a spot to put him, which was just at the end of the attic as you're coming out into the graveyard, which is fine. But, I think in Florida, they're trying to use that as the canvas for the movie. And they've done this like with Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff is, that they move stuff around to, once the movie Pirates of the Caribbean came out, they started making changes to the ride to align it with the movie. Right.
I think the argument though here is right that ghosts don't appear in the Haunted Mansion until after the seance scene. And now this is before the seance scene.
Well, that's not true because, there is the coffin like right at the beginning.
Well, yeah, and I mean everything's moving in the house, right? You just don't see physical ghosts until after the seance, right? So, but yeah, listen, Trevor, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's fine, right? Like you're in a haunted house. Like, what does it matter when you see the ghosts? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole, and again, that whole thing about the ghosts don't appear until after the seance room because of the seance is why you see them and everything. Like, okay, fine, I get that that's a certain level of storytelling, but that's kind of fan fiction at this point.
Yeah.
And the thing about fan fiction is that it's fan fiction. It's not There's nothing anywhere saying that, the rule is that no ghosts may appear before this room. Like, so, okay, fine, whatever. Like,
people just want to get mad about stuff, man. Like, I just...
Because, the thing is that you see, like, I mean, really from the get-go, like, there is, you can say you don't physically see a ghost, but like you said, there is so many things that happen that are like
the
very
literal
clearly,
narrator is a ghost.
Yeah.
Like talking to you.
So I don't know.
He's your ghost host.
Yeah. Even the hallway, or like in the leading up to the infinite hallway, like there's like, you can see like green light coming out of rooms. There's the Escher room where like you can see the footsteps and everything. Like, I don't know. I don't see it as a very like hard and fast, you cannot see a ghost because you didn't have the seance thing.
I mean, and truthfully, listen, like the spot where the endless hallway is, there's some room there, right? Like, so it makes sense that they're putting it there. And to your point, Trevor, like, what do people want them to do? Like, maybe there wasn't any room in the attic scene for them to, like, maybe they physically could not put him in the attic scene, right? Like, without taking out like the bride or something.
Well, I will say this: where they put him in Disneyland, it does feel very forced, in my opinion.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the way that it works is that it's literally right after you see the bride, and you know how you turn and you come out and you start like you see over into the
and then you turn around.
Graveyard.
Yeah.
As you turn around, it's right next to the house, like where you would come out of the house. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's just like standing like up. There's not even a ledge or anything there really. He's just kind of like shoved next to the house so that like as you turn around and you're coming down backwards, you can see him. So like you start off close to him and then you kind of move away. But it does, like I said, it felt very like they didn't have any other place to put him. And it doesn't really showcase him is the problem. Like it's very like, oh, there he is. And then, gone. Whereas, putting him somewhere like near the hallway, it's like you've got a chance, like you kind of come up on him, you get a chance to really see him and the effect, the Hatbox Ghost does, and then move past him. Like it puts more of a spotlight on him is the thing. So, I don't disagree with it. Like, I mean, just the fact that, they're finally adding it in, I think is great. And it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be identical between the two haunted mansions, right? Like,
yeah, it's interesting though, because like the description they have in here, right? So it says the Hatbox Ghost will appear to guests as they pass the endless hallway, welcoming himself inside from the swinging wake in the cemetery and grinning at the doom buggies as they set off deeper in the mansion. So, like, are they saying he was in the cemetery and then he just walked his way over to the endless hallway? Is that what they're trying to say? Like,
I don't know. That's a really weird way to describe it.
Put it, right? Like, because when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay, so he's in the graveyard scene, he's in the cemetery scene. Okay, cool. And then it was like, but no, wait, it's the endless hallway though. I don't know. It's just a weird way to say it.
No, I think what they're saying, welcoming himself inside from the
so he was outside partying in the cemetery.
Yeah,
like, so I need a break. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to get killed by the endless hallway.
He got tired of being shoved next to the window.
Yeah,
and he decided to come inside. That's what they're saying.
That's what it is. Yeah, exactly right. So
yeah.
I just I don't know why. Trevor, I saw somebody, one of the blogs, like flipping out about. And I swear to you, this is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever seen someone get mad about. Was at Sci-Fi Dine-In that they changed one of the lights in the skyline behind to be blinking instead of not blinking, and I was like, are you serious? Like, first of all, I didn't even notice that there was, because there's like towers. They're like the towers, right? So like there are those, those big towers that have lights on the top of them. So, planes
like radio towers.
Yeah. And they're in the background of the thing. Right. And I'm like, I've been to that restaurant a lot and I've never even noticed the towers. And you're getting mad that they changed a light to be blinking. Oh, and they changed the color too. It was white. Now it's red, or vice versa. Like, who cares?
Well, I mean, okay. You know what? I am all for detail. Yes. And I'm all for, finding things like that. But to be mad that something changed, like, I don't know. It like
something that is so small. Like, how is that even a detail that's bad?
I have a threshold for it, I guess. When they fully, like, if they take something and completely redo it, and if I don't feel it's in the spirit of whatever the original thing was, I may care. But I'm also like, I'm not somebody that's going to like, I hate Disney because they took out my Dumbo ride or something. Like, that's the thing is, I'm never going to be that person to begin with. But, to obsess over details like that and then, be mad that those details, you're right. It's a blinking light in a restaurant that
you wouldn't even notice.
That like it doesn't affect the food. It doesn't affect the overall experience.
I'd rather they add more movies or more shorts to the movie, because I feel like every time I go there, you see the same thing twice all the way through. Like, at least make like a 3-hour loop or something. I want to see some stuff.
We talked about this once before. I think that it's intentional, because if they didn't, or if they made it a longer loop, that people would just sit there.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah. I love sci-fi. Sci-fi is one of my favorites. So it's, but anyway, let's move on. We got lots of food to talk about. Tons of food to talk about.
I saw this. I already looked through this a couple of days ago.
Did you?
And yeah, so I mean, it came up on my phone, or I saw a Facebook post about the Halloween.
Oh, specifically the
foodie guide. Yeah. So, which as I'm sitting here, we're not even in August yet, and we're talking about Halloween food.
Trevor, you say that though, but I went to the grocery store 2 days ago, and there was all the Halloween stuff was out, and I'm like what?
Just no. Stop it.
But I also have to remind myself too that Halloween starts in a week and a half at Disney. So
yeah, I know that, but it's still just like,
I know
it's a little too
I will
much.
say though, they have a lot of new stuff though for the I mean, like almost all these dishes are new.
A lot of black stuff.
Well, yeah,
noticing.
but listen, apple fritter milkshake. Yeah, I'm gonna eat that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I drink that, I guess. Also the the mummy treat, the flaky pastry filled with chocolate hazelnut filling and topped with white icing. Yeah, yeah, I'm also up for that. Some sort of green slushy going on here. Do you see this thing? I don't know what that is, but I don't know if I want to drink it.
Are you talking the River Styx elixir?
Yes, kiwi lemonade with luster dust. Okay.
Yeah. I bet that'll look really cool because the way that dust kind of like it doesn't really mix in, right? So it'll create a very obviously River Styx with for those that have watched Hercules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a very cool effect, and I don't mind kiwi as a flavor. Like you're not wrong. It just is interesting looking. I also am looking at this chicken sandwich too. Spicy fried chicken breast dipped in hot honey, topped with pepper jack cheese, jalapeno poppers, and bacon. That sounds pretty good. Is that where was that one?
Cosmic Rays. That's over at Cosmic Rays. Yeah, this is only during the party, by the way. Only during the Halloween party. So
that's so hard to like. I get that they want to offer unique things during the Halloween parties, but I guess when I'm there, I'm not thinking
about the food stuff. Yeah.
Well, the hard part is that they got the trick or treat trails, and I'll fully admit that when we're there, like I've kind of already eaten before the party starts.
Yeah.
And I'm just eating junk food the whole time, so I'm not really thinking about like, oh, let's go try something or let's go eat some food, right? Like, yeah.
I get it. I understand what you're saying here. I'm just looking at some of this stuff looks awesome though. Like, a buffalo chicken hand pie. Yeah.
That's I'm all about that.
Yeah. That would be with the spicy ranch drizzle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sounds delicious. I'm not a big sweet potato fry fan, but loaded sweet potato fries. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With butterscotch chips on them. That's random, but okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Butterscotch is kind of a weird choice. Cause sweet potatoes are sweet as it is.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a little too much.
It might be.
It's like, they're like dessert sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet potato fries tossed in cinnamon sugar, topped with marshmallow cream and butterscotch chips and toffee. Whoa. Like that's
basically dessert. Yeah.
That's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Then of course, right after that, we've got the black velvet whoopie pie, which is that
dark black.
Dark. Yeah. The amount of dye.
I can only imagine what that would do to you.
I keep looking. It's like, I don't. Also, like, that's got to like turn your teeth. It's black or blue.
Yeah, it's got to not be good. I would think.
Yeah.
You know what though? These bone-in over at Petco's Bill, the bone-in piggy wings fried with fresh jalapenos topped in Coca-Cola cherry barbecue sauce. Sounds kind of good.
Yeah,
I would eat that. Candy corn milkshake though. I'm not a candy corn fan. I don't know about you. I'm not a candy corn.
No, I don't get candy corn. I guess
I don't either.
I've tried it and it just is like it's the least favorite Halloween. It's actually, they covered it on Gravity Falls. It's loser candy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Turns into a monster, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Apple fritter sundae. 100% in on that.
You're really all about the apple fritter.
Oh, dude, stuff. I love apple anything. Apple pie, apple fritters. I'm all about apple. So yeah, that's just the Halloween time for me is all the apple stuff. I go a different direction. Everyone goes with pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin, so I go with the apple.
I do like so I just want to point out that I'm looking at some of the names. So like at Sleepy Hollow, they've got a Headless Horseman cupcake, which that like why would you not do Headless Horseman stuff at Sleepy Hollow? And that's
see what it is though? Spicy cheese flavored cupcake. What?
Yeah,
with lime filling.
I don't know.
What does that mean?
Cheese flavored.
Does it taste like Cheetos?
Cheese with lime.
What does that mean?
With cream cheese buttercream. Spicy cheese flavored snacks and it's Cheetos. Like Cheetos.
Yes, it's a Cheeto cupcake
with lime.
Okay,
my brain's not computing that right now.
You know what though? But let's think about this though. If they're doing like the hot Cheetos, right? And then what you want with a hot Cheeto to cool it down is a lime would cool that down, right?
Yeah, so, I guess it's
it kind of makes sense if I think about it. And I would probably try this. It's weird
I
enough. Yeah.
I guess I can see that because like you get like you can get like lime margarita with like spice in it, right? So I can see that. I guess converting it to a cupcake is what's throwing me off, because I wouldn't expect that in a cupcake, but that's clearly what they're going for.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. And I'm scrolling down here. The only other thing that catches my eye is this skull brownie, this Mexican spiced chocolate brownie with dulce de leche filling and sugar eyes that looks like a really creepy skull.
Yeah, the 1,000-yard stare from the skull.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you did skip over one though, that the Hades cone, which
all right, yeah.
I did want to point out we missed. There was a couple other ones that were it was pain and panic themed. Food. So they're kind of, I think this year they're doing a lot of like Hades stuff, or they're focusing on Hercules.
Yeah. Interestingly,
but this Hades cone is Dole Whip mango, which I really like mango, and Dole Whip is good. But then habanero soft serve with blue raspberry shell and chili lime seasoning. So
they're leaning heavy into the spicy stuff, I feel.
Yeah, like. I know that sounds weird, but I've had a Dole Whip with the Tajin spice on it before. And because it like Tajin's like a lime salt with some spice in it, like chili spice.
Yeah.
It's really good. So I can see where this would be really good, because it's that heat combined with the fruit combined with, ice cream. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I did notice there a lot of the food is spicy themed, right? Like they're going for like a spicy theme with this menu, it seems like. So, but I mean, listen, like this is all new. People complain about them bringing back the same stuff. Like pretty much every menu item here is new.
Yeah, it's and it's creative. That's always been my thing, is that a lot of times they're like, it's the spooky cupcake, and it's literally just the cupcake with a little like sugar ghost on it or something, right? Whereas this is that they're doing a lot of these things are different. A lot of them are not necessarily or they're Disney themed, but not in the way you think. It seems like this year they were like, hey, let's do Hades related stuff, and it's kind of sprinkled throughout the whole list here. Like the River Styx juice, I'm really curious about that. Like I would actually like stop to try that.
Yeah, I mean it looks incredibly cool. Like it just looks like the slime that people used to get slimed with back on Nickelodeon back in the 90s.
Oh yeah. Which, that was like applesauce or something.
Yeah, but it's that same kind of color. Like I feel like if I drink this, I'm going to turn into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like
right.
Not to bring up a different property, but
hey, TMNT used to be in MGM Studios.
It did. It's funny though, the trailer for that came on during like an ad for something we were watching, and my daughter was like, don't turn this off. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, are you liking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Is this a door that's opening right now? And it's like how I got her into the Spider-Man series. That's the kids Spider-Man series that's on Disney Plus. And I'm like, does this open the door now that I can get her into Marvel? Like, because she's all about Spider-Man now. She likes Spider-Man. So
just be prepared. Your kids will not. Eventually, they will not be interested in the things that you're interested in. You have to be okay with that.
They're always going to be interested in everything I'm interested in. What are you talking about, Trevor?
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go with that.
All right. So a lot of people were upset about this. And I have to admit that I never got to go to the Trail's End. Okay. So I just never did. Right. But I know a lot of people that were Fort Wilderness people were upset about Trail's End turning into a kind of like a quick service location, right?
Yeah.
Which, I get it, but I also, it seemed like it was a need over there, right? So now it's a quick service restaurant, and we're seeing some food coming out from this. I have to say these pizzas look pretty good, by Disney pizza standards. And like they got barbecue going on, which is
yeah. There's nothing looks bad about this. Like,
no, it looks good. I mean,
and I will say this, I know people, don't like, or they feel like going from sit down to quick service is a downgrade.
Yeah.
But I feel like, for sometimes, I don't want to sit down for barbecue.
Yeah.
Or no, they're like good barbecue is worth sitting down for, but having somewhere where it's like, I can just walk up and get barbecue.
Yeah.
Is that really a bad thing?
I mean, listen, this doesn't look like quick service food to me, right? Like this is like,
doesn't. Like it looks, it looks like the same kind of stuff you would get at a sit down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, they've got the quick service stuff like cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets and fries, but I mean, you can buy the sides by the pound here. Like this mac and cheese looks awesome. Like I don't know, this food looks
sliders
good
right now.
What's that? You're looking at the sliders.
Yeah,
sliders look good too, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this could be a good addition if the food is good. I mean,
Yeah, I like you said, that's the key is I think people need to stop looking at what type of experience it is, because again, like you said, for where it is, Trails End is like over in like Fort Wilderness, there isn't any other options, right? Like you got to travel back to Wilderness Lodge for quick service, and I can understand why, like especially with the DVC,
that's what I think
cabins coming. Yeah, I can see why they would want to make sure that there's a quick service there, because personally, if I was staying somewhere like that, I would be looking around going, well, I don't want to have to drive for 15 minutes just to get quick service.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when everywhere else, there's something near, like, I know it sounds lazy, but really it's practical because of the fact that, after you've been, doing theme parks for a whole day and you're tired, you don't want to, get on a bus or go walking for an extended period to get food. You want to get something, again, I guess this is just me, is, there's a lot of times, when I'm staying at Disney, I just want to get something close. I don't want to, worry about, well, am I, making a reservation at a restaurant or a sit down or whatever, that's why quick service is great, is that it's literally, it's in the name. You get it and, you get out of there and move on with your day. Like it's not meant to be a focus of your day.
To your point, by the way, the sliders, it's a trio of sliders: pulled pork with barbecue sauce and coleslaw, brisket slider with Carolina barbecue and pickled onions, and a buffalo chicken slider with house-made blue cheese dressing and dill pickles.
So it's the trifecta of barbecue.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's So my point is that for as much as people love to feel like that they're losing something, I see this as a win.
I see this as a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider Trails End to be like a hidden gem, though. Like, especially a lot of the Fort Wilderness people, like they felt like it was this place that they knew about, and like I get it. When you have a place like that and it changes, like you feel like you lost something you were in the know on that nobody else was, right? And this is invariably going to make this a more popular spot, right? So maybe, yeah. I mean, but quick services tend to be, especially at the resorts. I mean, every time I'm at a resort and we have the quick service, there's always there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people waiting for there. Like they're getting their breakfast and, getting some coffees or, grabbing a quick dinner like you were talking about. They had a long day at the parks. They didn't want to deal with going to a sit down. So, and I mean, this one also has a hot grab and go section where you can grab the barbecue. You don't need to order it. You just, they just are going to have it out. You can just grab it. So, it's great.
Kind of like, it's, I was thinking like Seasons. Seasons is almost like that.
Sunshine Seasons? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, they still have people like doling out food, but yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, but it's basically you go up to each of the things and you're like, I want this. Like, you don't have to order and wait for them to prepare it. It's just ready, which,
Exactly. So,
yeah.
So then the last thing I have on here is Princess Week, which who knew that was a thing? When is Princess Week? August 20th through the 26th. They're going to have some princess themed food.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay is the right response to that, Trevor.
My family, like princesses, and
Not
I'm
your
gonna get
thing.
some hate for this, like because I don't have a daughter. Princesses are like the least interesting thing at Disney for us.
I get it.
And
Yeah.
and sorry, that's not totally fair because my wife has a couple of princesses that she likes and that she, like she will go out of her way to see. But even at that, like my wife is more interested in getting pictures with the stepsisters than like any other princess. So,
Well, let's not talk about this then. Let's just skip off to our last item so we can wrap up here, because I put this on here because I wanted to get your thoughts about it. But I mean, there's nothing all that interesting within the Princess Week stuff. I didn't really see anything that I was, jumping out at.
I don't do princesses at Disney. So
yeah, it's fine. Let's talk about this last item and then we'll wrap up. So, after the terrible fire that they had at Fantasmic, a couple months ago now, where the dragon caught on fire at Disneyland, the show has been closed, and Disneyland has announced that the show will not return until spring 2024. And when it does return, there will be no more dragon. The dragon's done. And they say they're going to replace it with special effects, which is probably the same thing they were using for the B mode when the dragon was broken anyway, right? Unless they're doing something new. I don't know. But
I hope they're doing something new because it says in here that the new show will no longer feature the dragon, but will instead add new special effects during the climatic battle between Sorcerer Mickey and Maleficent. Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to have like a longer battle between like the Maleficent character and because like there is a point where Maleficent is on stage, but then she disappears in a puff of smoke and the dragon comes out. Kind of thing, right? I mean, if they can make it as entertaining as the dragon, good. Yeah, and I shouldn't discount, Disney is very good at being creative in these kinds of situations. And I can understand why they don't want to put back the big flammable dragon, because they seem to have an issue with dragons and them lighting themselves on fire.
Well, also, and I actually didn't know this, and maybe I should have known this, but I didn't realize that the dragon was nicknamed Murphy there after Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But I mean, maybe that's just kind of what it is, right? That they just they had so many problems with it in general that it was just like, even if we replace
not worth it,
it's just not worth it to replace it, right? Like, even though it's a really important thing, part of the thing, if they can replace it with other effects and it's just as good or, enough that people like it, then I guess that's what they'll do, right? I mean, it would bum me out if they took the one out of Disney World, though, right? I have no attachment to this one, obviously, but if they took the one away from Disney World, I would be bummed by that. But I mean, they've had so many problems with fires and dragons over the past couple of years that I kind of don't blame them for this.
Yeah. The hard part is that in Disneyland, this isn't just a matter of, there was a fire on stage. That stage in Disneyland is part of Tom Sawyer's Island. During the day, you can walk right where Fantasmic happens. I've been on where that whole stage section is, and I can understand why, the problem is that it doesn't just, damage the stage, the surrounding area of Tom Sawyer's Island. Like, you can end up with, that whole area being torched potentially.
Well,
so
luckily no cast members got injured during that fire, but I mean, the cast members could have gotten injured. I mean, like you said, they're trapped on an island.
The difference too is, like you said, there is, if something were to happen, what does the escape route look like? Well, you're jumping in the water, because it's
pretty much. Yeah.
I get it. I get why they made the decision like you, and I don't see them doing it in Disney World, because like we're talking about is, in Disney World, it is a stage. It is put in an arena. So, I feel like they have better control over it. And again, if something did happen, it's a lot easier for them to manage it. But also I feel that because of the fact that it is a stage in Florida, that you don't have all the surrounding trees and stuff that you do on Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
So again, it's a lot easier for them to kind of like make a larger space where Maleficent can't light stuff on fire.
I agree. And it's a different figure at Disney World too, right? Like it's a different,
it is.
And it's not, from what I gathered, the one at Disneyland was kind of problematic and didn't work all the time. And, I don't think they have the same problem with that one at Disney World, right? Like,
and again, it's because every day they have to,
put it all away, right? Yeah.
It has to be hidden because it's an operating space where guests go, so they can't just set things up in a way where it's secured, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it, and I hope that whatever they figure out, it's one part of Fantasmic. Like the thing is that Fantasmic in and of itself is a great show. Like it has a lot of amazing elements to it, and again in Disneyland. The thing that you don't have in Disney World is there is a whole section where Peter Pan and Captain Hook had a fight on a ship.
The show's totally different. I've watched videos of it. It's totally different. It's a whole different thing. Because
they have the Columbia there, which it actually goes on the same track as the Mark Twain. So they can run the Columbia and the Mark Twain both around rivers of America. So they've used that during the show that they have a whole section with Peter Pan, which, if they took that away, I would be a little more upset because it's unique to that show. Whereas the Maleficent figure was, it kind of overlapped between them. And I'm not saying that is, whatever, or that, because it was overlapped that made it less important. But like to your point, it is still part of the show in Florida, and I don't see them taking that out anytime soon. But yeah, I just hope whatever they do, they figure out something that works, that doesn't feel cheap, because like you said, the B-roll version of it was they used a water fan to do Maleficent, which is like that, they have a big fan that sprays water up and they project an image onto it, which they use it at different parts during the show. But it really doesn't hit the same way as, big dragon coming out of the ground.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just assumed that that's what they were going to go with, but we don't know. Like you said, maybe they'll have a new effect that's, I don't know. It'd be
cool if they could do something with drones, actually.
That would be pretty cool. I want to wrap up, but did you see what they did for what was it at Disneyland Paris, the drone show? The most recent one.
Yeah,
like I am just dying for them to get the drones to Disney World, man, because like the stuff they're doing is crazy and it's amazing.
The interesting thing about that, or the thing that I noticed in that, was that there was fireworks and the drones going off
at the same time. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, drones weren't going off; drones were flying.
Yeah,
they weren't exploding. Yeah. The interesting thing is that, like, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, there is still definitely, or my concern was wind in and how that plays into controlling the drones and stuff. There was wind going on in Paris because you could see when the fireworks were going off that there was a crosswind pushing the smoke. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. Maybe it is something that could be more doable in Florida than I initially thought. So, maybe drones are more possible than I was initially thinking. And Disney, the fact that it was so big in Disneyland Paris, like,
it's huge.
I mean, yeah,
that went viral too, man. That was everywhere. Like people were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. If they could bring that over to Florida, that would be really awesome.
I should mention too, and we're really out of time, but there was another thing. I saw that, I don't know if you've seen BioReconstruct on Twitter. That guy, he constantly is flying over Disney World and Universal and taking pictures.
No, I don't follow. Yeah. Or, well, I don't use Twitter, I guess.
No worries. I don't either, but I catch him through the Disney blogs because a lot of people will repost his stuff in the blogs. And he caught pictures of them building new barges for whatever the Epcot show is going to be, right? The nighttime show at Epcot that they're going to debut. And they're building new barges. Now they don't look nearly as big as the old Tacos and Stargate, right? But like they're new barges and this is the first indication we've really seen of anything being built back there, right? Because like I think all of us have been kind of wondering like what are they going to do, right? Like, and I still tend to believe that the Epcot show is going to involve drones. I just feel like it's gonna. I don't know how. I just it's my feeling that it's going to have drones because I feel like they're using Disneyland Paris as the test ground for this, and that I feel like drones would fit in so nicely into Epcot. I don't see how they're not going to bring a drone show in at some point. But I mean, I guess we're going to find out. But it was interesting to see them building new barges, and hopefully non-obstructive ones, not ones that block your entire view of the showcase.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I really do. Because the more that I'm like, drones have been around for a while now, but they're getting better and better.
Oh yeah.
Like, Disney's really kind of behind the 8 ball on that, I think.
Well, but they were ahead of the 8 ball though. I think the first drone show I ever saw was the one they did at Disney Springs that like years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. I think they created technology, but you're right. They haven't brought it to the parks though.
Yeah, even with that, there's been a lot of stuff done outside of the States, I guess.
Oh yeah,
There's when I mean they're behind the 8 ball, I mean that there's been a lot of advancements in that kind of tech, and Disney has not capitalized on it at all.
Yeah, I just wonder maybe if it's maybe easier to do at Disneyland Paris just because of the way it's set up, or because I wonder if our rules here make it harder for them to do the drone show with all of the people around, I don't know what the drone laws are around that with the commercial drones, and maybe it's harder for them to do it here. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
OSHA could be a big factor in it because that does drive a lot of like safety that, you don't always get in other countries.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up.
Yeah. All right. Let me get back to where the wrap up is.
You got off track.
Yeah, that's fine. We do that. It's allowed. As usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your questions. We love hearing trip reports from people and all that kind of stuff. So you can always reach us at Gmail there. If you want to follow us on other social media platforms, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. If you are on Facebook, have a look at Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. It is our Facebook group where we have lots of great listeners that all have regular conversations about Disney, and is just generally one of the more positive Disney groups out there. So if you're looking for a good Disney group where people are actually wanting to talk about Disney and all that, please have a look at our group. If you'd like to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our different merchandise there. All kinds of stuff like t-shirts and mugs and whatnot. Maybe you're needing some t-shirts for your next Disney trip. You can get some Welcome Home ones. And if you want something a little different, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of Patreon support. That has exclusive merchandise that you can only get on Patreon. And it also gets you access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we talk with our listeners on a regular basis and have lots of fun conversations and a little more behind the scenes kind of stuff that you don't necessarily see on Facebook. So if that seems interesting to you, check it out. Last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you leave us a 5-star review because it helps more people find the podcast. And if you are on iTunes, you can write a review, and we love reading those reviews and just getting feedback from you guys. So, please consider leaving us a review.
Yeah, I don't have any reviews this week, but if you don't leave us a review, or if you've already left us a review, you can do us a favor by telling a Disney friend about us or posting about us in a Disney group that you're in. Like, spread the word, right? Like, if you like the show and you've written a review already, and you still want to help the show, I think the best way to do that is to tell a friend or to post us in a different group. Get us out to a wider audience. So,
yeah.
So, and also, of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app out there. You can find us. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company. And as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a Disney cast member or DVC cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsor, DVC Rental Store, which is dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home. If you want to rent DVC, if you're, looking into it and you want to try it out before you buy, great way to do it. We always recommend it to, people that want to travel with us that aren't going to stay with us, because it's a great way to try out DVC. So check out DVC Rental Store. They are a great supporter of the show, as is a World of DVC. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl, eating